Hey you guys, what if you have a portal and in your portal you've got multiple records, but you kind of want to sort these portal rows. Sometimes, like this is an example of a very simple, very basic invoice type situation. And what if you have multiple products on your invoice and you want to have them in a certain specific order? Sometimes you can sort them like alphabetically, but that doesn't always work. Sometimes you just kind of want to put certain things together in a certain way that you kind of manually choose, that you want to manually move them up and down a bit. Now in Filemaker you cannot just drag to sort stuff, but there are some things that we can do. Okay, I'll show you very quickly what this structure of this database looks like. It's extremely simple. It's a very simple invoice table with invoice details, and this is related to products. Very simple, very basic, your very totally standard invoicing type system. Okay, let's okay, this one. Now what can we do in order to sort this portal row? If you go into layout mode, we can double click this one and we could have like sort portal records right here, and then we can sort, like we can use any field that we want to sort on, but all of these fields are from the invoice details table. Now in this case there is not a single field in there that is useful for sorting, because we've got your invoice ID, your product ID, amount, all of these things absolutely useless for sorting. So what could we do? We could make a field, a separate field that is in the invoice details table that is used specifically for sorting. So we can go into File, Manage Database. We can go into Fields of our invoice details table, and we could say, give me a sort field. And that could be a number field. So I'm going to set the type to number, and then I'm going to create that one. There we go. And now if we make our portal row a little bit bigger, we can just grab ahead, go ahead and grab that field, add that sort field, and then we have that sort field here. Now I'm going to go to my styles and use the default style so that it has some borders. And now if I look here, if I would like to, for instance, have my mangoes on top, I could say that I want my mangoes to be number 1, and there you go. The only thing I have to do right now is just double click in here and specify that my portal needs to be sorted, and I want to sort by my sort field. So that is kind of cool. Okay, let's have a look at what that does. That actually does nothing at all. And the reason for that is, and that's something that you will always have when you're sorting, is that if you have certain records with a value, they will be sorted properly. Like if I give this banana value number 2, then you will see that the banana goes down and it has value number 2, and this mango is number 1, that's correct, but every single record that does not have a value in here will be sorted up top. So that's kind of our first problem. We have to make sure that every single item in here gets a sort number. Now I don't want to manually enter all the numbers for all of these things, because that's kind of annoying. So maybe one way to solve this is to kind of say, if we go to File, Manage Database, and we go to Invoice Details, then I would like for my sort field to automatically enter some data, like the number 1. And if I do that, okay, let's make a new record right here, and let's add a few things like a banana, let's say amount 3, let's say a mango amount 2, and let's say a pear amount 5. Now you can see that the sort number, and I'll maybe just quickly make a little header here so you can see which field we're looking at. Now we can see that the sort always has a number, and now if I would like to have my mango up top, I just basically give this one the number 0, and then it goes up top. That's kind of cool. That's exactly kind of what I would like to see happen. Now I don't want to manually type in all of these numbers. I want to have a bit of a cooler, a bit of a more fun way of entering these numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go and hit Edit Layout, Insert Picture, and I'm going to go and find some arrows. Arrow, arrow, arrows, a bunch of arrows. This one is a cute arrow. It is a down arrow. And then I could also have, let's insert a picture, and then let's say arrow up. I should have one of those as well, a round up arrow, cool. And I think my arrows might be a little bit large, so let's go into position and let's make them a little bit smaller so that they fit into my portal. There we go. Okay, so now if we kind of position them in here, that looks kind of cute. They look like are they the same size? Yeah, probably are. It looks like the one is bigger. Okay, so I've got them in there. That's kind of cute. Now I just need to get them to actually work, because right now they're just kind of standing there. So I think I'm gonna have to make a script so that if I click this button, then, but I do have to kind of think about this a little bit as well. If I click this button, then my item, because the button points down, I would like my item, my banana, to go down. So this has to get a higher number. So this would have to get number 2, for instance. And then the banana goes down. And if I click this button, my item needs to go up. So it needs to get a lower number. So let's go into scripts and script workspace. And let's just think ahead for a second here. I've got 2 different buttons. So you would think that I would probably need 2 different scripts, but what I could do is use one script and then just give each button a script parameter so that my script kind of knows which button has been pressed. Let's hit the plus button and then let's make a script called set sort number. That's kind of cool. And then, so I've got my 2 buttons. So I would like to kind of differentiate between the up and the down button. So what I can do right now, and I'm going to show you maybe first, I'm going to save this script by hitting Command S or Control S on Windows. I'm going to go into Edit Layout. I'm going to say, give me the button setup. And the button setup is going to perform a script. There is only one script, set sort number. But what's very important if I want to differentiate the buttons is my optional script parameter. And my optional script parameter will tell me which button has been pushed. So if I give this one the up script parameter, then I can say, I can just use this one. And then this one can give me a down script parameter. So button setup, perform script. And then we are going to perform the exact same script, except now we're going to say down. Okay, so this down arrow has to bring my item down, which means it has to give it a larger number. That's a bit strange, but we do have to keep that in mind. I still have my script workspace open in the back, so let's now go and see if we can figure out which script parameter has been pressed. So there are 2 cases. Either I've hit the up button or I've hit the down button, and in these kinds of cases where there are multiple options, I usually have an if statement. So if I type if and then I hit my tab, then I'm inside the if statement, and I'm gonna figure out what my script parameter is. If you don't know what that is, you can go in here and you could search for script parameter. Oh no, these are script steps. That's a function that we're working with. Doesn't matter, we're just gonna do get script. If you want to know about the script parameters, there are some awesome PDFs on the FileMaker website where you can get a full reference book of all of the functions. So if get script parameter is up, then what am I going to do then? Okay, so if my script parameter is up, that's basically this button, up, then what do I want to do? I would like to, let's go and exit layout and see what we need to do. My up button needs to bring my pair up. So basically what it needs to do is, it's number 1 right now, so it would have to go up and either get number 0. Well, 0 doesn't work. Let's do -1. Yeah, that brings it up. So what you can see right now is if I would just bring it up 1 number, then it will get the same number as the guy up top, and it might not sort properly. So what we need to do is, I'm going to set a variable first to know what value I need to have, and the variable is going to be my sort number. And as you can see, as soon as you make a variable, the name always gets a $sign in front. That's normal. That's how you can see it's a variable. And I'm going to specify the value, and the value is going to be from invoice details, my sort field number that I have. And I've got up, so it needs to go up, so the number needs to be smaller. So I'm going to say minus. And normally speaking, I would say -1, but because you just saw that if it has the number 1 and you want to bring it up, -1 brings it to 0, but the guy on top already has 0, so I might want to give it a little more of a 1.1, so that I definitely know that it's going to go above the guy on the record on top. Okay, great. Set variable. Now that I've set my variable, I can also set that variable into the field. And so I'm going to specify the target field, and that's going to be in invoice details, my sort field. And the value that I'm going to put in there is the value that I just created right here, which is my sort number. So $ sort number. Make sure you type it correctly, otherwise it's not going to work. And then when I've set my field, what shall I do then? I think that'll be probably enough. So I'm going to just copy this whole thing and paste it down here. And I'm going to say if my script parameter is not up but down, down, then I would like my value. It's all the same except for this 1.1 right here. It's going to be plus 1.1 because this one's going to go down in my list. And then I'm going to set that field with that sort number. Okay, and then at the end, just for fun, I will do a commit record request. Okay, let's hit Command S to save the script, and let's see what happens now. So I've got my mango, and I would like for my mango to go down. So I'm going to hit this down button, and my mango becomes 1.1. That is good, but it didn't go down because this one didn't have like the number that didn't follow. This one had the number 0 and this one has the number 2, so that's basically another down click, and now it does move past it. But the problem with this is if I, for instance, move my banana down and then it goes down, that's good. If I move my mango down again, then these numbers are starting to get very far apart from this pair here, because if I now want to put my banana up above my pair, I will have to hit this plus button quite a few times before it finally gets a number that's higher than this one. And also with all these numbers behind the comma, eventually this is going to become a kind of a weird numbering system, and I might start to get kind of funky things going on. So what I would like to do is I would like to make it so that these numbers don't get too far apart, so that every time that I click a plus or an up or down button, that these things actually move one row up or down. So I'm going to go and have a look at my script, and there is this one thing that I want to use, and before I use it, maybe I should show to you guys what that looks like. I'm going to go to my invoice details. I'm going to modify and add my sort field on this layout, and if you look here, what you can see is that I've got a bunch of these numbers in here, but what if I would like to just kind of order these numbers so that they nicely follow each other? There is a script set that I can use for that, so because what I would want to do basically is change all the values in all of these fields, and if you go to records replace field contents, that guy is exactly gonna do that. What it does is it permanently replaces the contents of the field sort field in the 9 records of the current find set. So what it's gonna do is it's gonna replace all the values all over the place in this field, but in all of the records, and I can replace it with a serial number so that the initial value is 1 and it's going to increment by 1. So if I do this and I hit replace, then you can see that I get these very nice numbers. It's very nicely organized and they all follow each other, and this makes my whole thing kind of neat again. So let's go to my invoice and let's think about how I can implement this stuff here, and I can see that now this actually has been implemented because I just did it. But if I start kind of messing around with these guys again, eventually I'm gonna get very funky numbers again. Okay, let's go back to my script and let's have a look here. At the end, what I can do is a replace field contents, and then I can just kind of perform this without a dialog because I don't want to be bothered with that dialog. It's going to have the same settings anyway. I'm going to specify the target field. That's going to be invoice details sort field. That's kind of good. And then I'm going to specify that I want to replace this with serial numbers, and I'll just use the custom values that are here. Okay, this looks kind of good, I think. Let's hit save and let's try this again. I've got my funky numbers going on right here. I'm gonna hit up, and then they all get these nice sort numbers so that they all follow each other. And this is kind of cool because every time I do like plus or minus 1.1, that means that my record is always gonna go above the one that's on top of it or below the one that's below it. So let's try this out and let's see. My pair is at the bottom. It has the number 9. Let's click up. And what happens? Nothing happens at all. When something goes wrong like this, you can maybe get a hint by going to, if you have Filemaker Pro Advanced, you can go to Tools, Script Debugger, and Tools, Data Viewer to kind of get these extra windows that'll give you the opportunity to kind of look at what's going on. So my numbers are all staying the same, so let's try and have a look at what's going on by running our script. If I click this button, then in my script debugger, my script is going to start, but my script debugger immediately stops my script, and it allows me to kind of step through that script one step at a time. So I'm going to step in with this button right here, and so if I step in, I will perform this script. But again, in that script, on the first line, it stops because that's what my script debugger does, and it allows me to just simply step through. Now I have my script parameter, it was up because I hit the up button, so let's see what happens. I'm going to set my variable sort number, so if I do that, then I can see here in my data viewer that my sort number from the pair, which was 9, has now become 7.9, which is good because 7.9 does put me above the mango, so that should make it so that my pair does appear here. So let's have a look. When I set this field, let's have a look at what happens. Okay, my pair gets 7.9, so 7.98. That should be the correct order. Let's see what happens if I step ahead, because this is not going to happen because my script parameter was up, so I skip this entire if statement and I will get to the commit records request step. And if I do that one, then my sort does indeed do exactly what I want it to do. I've got my banana at 7, my pear has moved up 7.9, and my mango is 8. Okay, so then where is this going wrong? I've got my replace field content step right here, and if I do this one, what happens? My pear gets number 9 and my mango gets number 8. So if I click outside here, then it kind of sorts again, but my pair is back at the bottom where it was before, but I don't really want that. I want my pair to go up. Okay, let's close this one and let's have a little think about this. Now, we've specified the sort order of this portal, but we are, if we go on File, Manage Database, we are in a layout that's based on the invoice, and we are changing the sort field on this invoice details table. Now, there is a sort on this portal row, but that sort is not happening in the relationship between the two. So let's go to File, Manage Database again. Between these two, we're still seeing the records in the invoice details in the original order. So we do have to kind of specify that this relationship has to be sorted by the sort field as well, because otherwise this is never going to work. But luckily we can do that by editing this relationship between these two, and there is an ability here to sort the records. And if we specify, then we can say, give me a sort by the sort field. And that way, these records will be sorted via this relationship, and then hopefully this replace field contents step is going to work a little bit better. So let's try this out. We have our pair. Let's click up, and our pair has gone one step up. Let's click up again. The pair goes up again, and we kind of keep our clean numbers right here. And we can try this out in a new one. We can just add a few things here. Let's say 2 apples, 2 bananas, and 2 mangoes. And we can even add a pear. There you go. And then we can just kind of skip ahead. And now they all have the same sort number. But as soon as I want to move the pear one step up, whoops, my pear goes all the way up. And I get all these new sort numbers. So if I move my pear down, and there you go. I can move my pair down, and I can move it up again. There. So, as you can see, it's a few tricky little things that we do need to do, but eventually we do kind of get to some sort of a system where this is kind of working kind of okay. And we can just kind of manually move our stuff around and get everything exactly the way we want it. Now, as we could see just now, there was one little glitch left, like if all the sort numbers in the beginning are all number 1, and you want to move this mango, whoops, or they're all sorted now. If you want to move this pair one step up, it'll fly all the way up to the top. And the reason for that is that if they all have number 1 and one of them changes to minus 1.1, it'll go all the way up to the top. And what we could try to do is when we create these invoice details, we can try to not all give them the number 1, but we can try to all kind of give them a number that kind of counts upwards, so that they already have this kind of a serial number thing going on, and so that then the sort doesn't kind of make that kind of big of a jump. Let's go into File, Manage, Database to see if we can figure out how to do that. And if we go into Invoice Details, we have our sort field, and what we could do is maybe auto enter a serial number in here, and then maybe generate on creation increment by 1. Maybe if we do that, maybe this this kind of jumping will not happen anymore. But let's try and see what that does. Let's go in here and add an apple. This one gets number 1, amount 1. Let's make a banana. This one gets number 2. That's good. Let's make a mango, right? And then if we would like to step this mango up just 1 notch, if we click this button, then the mango does go up 1 notch, but after this the numbers kind of get resorted or kind of get changed, but it doesn't really matter because they all kind of, there you go, they all kind of stay nicely in a nice kind of cute order, and you don't really have to worry about them jumping around so much. Let's make another new record and let's add something. Well, my ID numbers are kind of going up from before, but it doesn't really matter. That's kind of cool. Banana 2, because now I got this nice kind of incremental number thing going on, so that I can very easily kind of sort properly. Okay, we've got this sort part right here with all these numbers. We might not really want to have those on our layout, so I'm going to remove this sort. I'm going to make this a bit more like this. There you go. And that way we can just simply sort items, and we don't really ever have to worry about numbers here or how that works or anything like that. So I think this is a kind of a good and handy system. It's kind of visual because you can clearly see what you're doing. The only tricky thing that you do need to, because you don't really see the move that well, you only see the move if you're actually looking at this product. So if you see that banana is on top and you click this down button, the banana does move down, but it's sometimes a bit tricky to see. So that's something to keep in mind, so that you don't stand you're clicking this button the whole time and the thing goes kind of back and forth, because that's kind of useless. But good system nonetheless, and I think this is a nice cute way to solve this problem. If you guys want to learn a ton more about Filemaker, you can follow the links in the description and go to my Udemy courses. In these courses I build entire Filemaker systems from scratch and show you the entire process. The first course is entirely free and is like a beginner tutorial on how to make a simple basic Filemaker contacts database with some nice little features. Building on that first free course is a complete invoicing system that contains the structure that is used by most companies that deal with billing and invoicing. It contains inventory tracking and all kinds of fun reports to keep track of your income. There's also a course on how to create an entire bookings and reservation system with a ton of fun tricks and features. If you want to learn more about these courses, follow the links in the description.